There is a plan to take over this world, and I'm sorry to tell you tonight that you are living in one of the test case countries. They are practicing on Australia and New Zealand. And it may interest you to know tonight that New Zealand actually is a state of Australia on the Australian Constitution. Did you know that? Where are the New Zealanders tonight, please?
Okay, now this Tesla-style technology was adopted by the oil industry and military together. It heats the atmosphere and manipulates the weather. High wattage waves are transmitted and relayed from a receiver. There's a similar station set up in Christchurch called CEDAR.
Coupling energetics and dynamics of atmospheric regions.
It's an atmospheric radar station out at Birdling's Flat, but once the red pill is taken, it's hard to turn things back. Okay, let's wind it back to the 21st, the day before the quake. Stewart Island, 100 whales beached ashore deflate. In Christchurch, the USNZ Forum commenced with guests from the US Congress, FEMA, War and Defence. The Singapore Army were in town too, there to collect supplies, and the New Zealand Navy was in Port Lyttelton for an exercise. 600 doctors were also in town attending a training meeting, and people witnessed all week chemtrails from planes repeating. People saw rainbow-coloured clouds and rainy aura. The next day a rainbow with that rain, and the full moon had an aura. I've got a floor plan here that shows incidences, and it appears to be more than just coincidence. The evidence appears to be covert influence, a sequence of events that are more than just coincidence. So many incidents, somewhere there's blueprints that show this instance was more than just coincidence. The evidence appears to be covert influence, a sequence that are clearly more than just coincidences. Now let's roll back the clock again to August last year, where the program began in the South Pole to explore the atmosphere. The Canterbury coast was being mapped for the oil drillers Anadarko, the company from the Gulf oil spillage. I suspect that blatant lies are happening, especially if there's a link between quakes and seismic mapping. This imaging process is also disturbing to whales and maybe reflect geophysical, has a few murdering tales. The day before the September quake, the ship was dry docked in haste, a little tin for a repaint, broken shaft and a right prop replaced. Okay, so now let's jump forward to Feb, the morning of the deadly quake. The main Christchurch radio transmitter had a sketchy break. That day all stations were broadcast from the television relay. Pre-planned decision with precision, a commission betrayal. Two suited strangers assured in a plant shop of a future demand in whitewear. After the afternoon's alarming nightmare, and the USNZ Forum was supposed to finish at 6 sharp, but 9 US officials left the morning minutes quick smart. 8 boarded a flight to Wellington and 1 stayed behind his hired hand. He's a geologist, paramedic and retired fireman. He's also the deputy admin for FEMA, Tim Manning, a late addition to the meeting. Coincidence or grim planning, he ended up directing the emergency responsive teams, and Admiral Thad Allen was there too with corresponding teams. He directed the responses for Rita, Katrina and the BP oil spill. He's obviously bad at his job because all 3 were deplorable. So then the earth shakes, and that we can easily see. But do we know about the black boxes placed around the CBD? They were allegedly removed after the mayhem and turmoil, and half the Americans left the meeting, and the AN prefer oil.
Republican Dan Lundgren says we have to start drilling for oil off the coast of California.
Take the restraints off of offshore oil drilling, allow more leases. We can do it safely.
11 workers are still missing and feared dead.
The gusher in the Gulf continues to pour out.
We can do it without environmental degradation.
The spill now covering 400 miles of shoreline.
Once it's in these fragile wetlands, the oil is almost impossible to clean up.
Look, drill here in America, not only in California, but off Florida, in the Gulf, off Atlantic.
How much more will Lundgren do for big oil? Lundgren has voted for $2.6 billion in tax breaks for oil and gas companies to expand offshore drilling. And even as big oil's profits continue to soar, Lundgren voted to give them government handouts. It's easy to see where Lundgren's loyalties lie.
Drill here, in the United States. American resources. Drill now, not 20 years from now, not 30 years from now, now. Drill here, drill here, drill here.
And Lundgren's greed seems to have no end.
If you get more, I take more.
As do shareholders and those who hold positions of power. At the Clear Channel, they control the transmission towers. It's normal for the ionosphere to electrify before a quake, but was the radio tower used to amplify the force of the shake? And was the CEDAR MF radar also involved? Is there motive? We certainly have a puzzle to solve. You can't muzzle the souls of all the brave deceased, and now the names are released to every neighbour and street. I've started shaving the beast with Occam's razor at least. If this behaviour repeats, well, you should save your receipts, cause in the people's courtroom, key will be forced forced to repay us from a secret fortune. He was endorsed to betray us. This orchestration happened under his nose and vent, and he's forced the nation into lunging throes of death. He's just a puppet performing for the IMF. We'll be their slaves if we even have an island left. They exist to break borders and steal everything of value, sell you a string of lies and baptize you in a deluge of rules you must comply with in a forceful way. Key will make a key speech with no remorse, he'll say. We're in so much debt and we don't have a recourse. We need to offset it and sell off every source of resource. He'll smile as he auctions our ass down the river, and all the while he's watching his cash cow deliver. If I get threatened and die, will you know that it's true? And what reaction you take, well, it's over to you. Just know that if you don't stand up when you know that you should, that evil will always prevail over good. I've got a floor plan here that shows incidences, and it appears to be more than just coincidence. The evidence appears to be covert influence, a sequence of events that are more than just coincidence. So many incidents, somewhere there's blueprints that show this instance was more than just coincidence. The sequence would take accuracy and skill to be done.
The odds against this happening by chance are 1,000,000,000 to 1.
New Zealand's so-called exclusive economic zone is 6 million square kilometres. Now there's a claim a quarter of that is capable of producing oil and gas, and that's got experts describing our waters as the North Sea of the Southern Hemisphere. John Newton explains.
Some want greater protection of our coastal waters, but oil and gas industry leaders say deep underneath lies the world's next big oil and gas bonanza.
We've got a resource out there that's about the size of the North Sea.
Chris Uriski has been studying our surrounding waters for the past decade. He says there's 1.7 million square kilometres of potential oil. That's 7 times the size of New Zealand. And Darko expects to find the equivalent of 700 million barrels of oil. It says it's drilled 150 deep-sea wells and has a clean track record. And today, Andarko announced here at the convention that they'll begin deep-sea drilling either in the Canterbury Basin or offshore Taranaki within the year.
Welcome back to the Power Hour. Thank you so much for joining us, caring about your world and doing something about it. Joining us this hour will be Field McConnell. We were going to have Attorney Matthias Chang joining us from Malaysia, but he had a death in the family this morning, and it's very sad. I'm at his house, so I'm very appreciative that at the last minute we had Field McConnell willing to step in, who is an airline pilot in his own right, has much experience, has been around the world and knows what's happening with airlines. And we've got so many things to discuss with him today. Thank you so much, Field, for joining us in the Power Hour.
Oh, you're very welcome, Joyce. And just not to be a self-promoter, but when you say I've been around the world, I'll just let your listeners know that when I brought up the mechanisms which allowed 9/11 to take place, Northwest Airlines was compelled by the Department of Justice to try to silence me, and they failed. Not that they didn't give it a good try, but you know, as you can hear, I'm not silent. And after leaving Northwest Airlines, I went to Kazakhstan and flew Airbus airliners in a Muslim world. So yes, I've been around the world with airplanes, and yes, I have a relationship with Matthias Chang, which is favorable, and yes, I have some interesting news for you and your listeners. So over to you, Joyce.
Well, I appreciate that. Before we begin with all of the things that I want to ask you about, let's talk about your background. Where does all this come from? This, you know, you've accomplished an awful lot of things, but talk to us about your background.
Well, I grew up in an Air Force family, and my father and all of his peers were pilots, and so I, like any other young boy or girl, I thought that what my parents did was normal. So I determined, as probably a 5 or 6 year old, that someday I'd probably be a pilot. Of course, at 5 or 6, I didn't realize the complexities of putting that plan into action, but through God's grace, and that's the absolute truth, what I just said, but through God's grace, I ended up getting into the Naval Academy, for which I was not qualified. I graduated from the Naval Academy, which was not within my power to do. I was a naval aviator in the Marine Corps, and when the Marine Corps decided that the caliber of my efforts weren't in keeping with their expectations, I was recruited into the North Dakota Air National Guard, where I flew F-4 and F-16 air defense interceptors So when I found myself on the morning of 9/11 being an airline pilot with an air defense background, and I'm not making this up, Joyce, I knew on 9/11, on that morning, I knew that we were being lied to. Of course, like anyone else, I could not believe the enormity of the lie. But how that relates to today is the enormity of the lies of 9/11 have now been fully revealed, and there are parties out there that really need to have a much bigger 9/11 to cover up the last 9/11, and I'd like to think we can stop them.
Well, I don't want to think. I want to believe that we are going to stop them, and we can think that into existence, because it looks like with this latest 11 airliners from Libya that there's a problem, that there is a problem that is emerging. There is a warning. There's something ahead that's going to happen. Let's go back, though, to the MH370. Let's just work up through what's happening today, because do you have any latest information on MH370? That's the airplane, of course, that just went off radar, never saw it again. Because I'm concerned that they're resurrecting stories about, oh, gee, maybe it's over here, let's go look over here. What is the latest on the MH370 airliner?
Well, you have to separate what's the latest in truth and what's the latest in media. And in media, some people that are being very dishonest down in Australia claim that they're going to start a new search in a new area with a Danish, excuse me, I said Danish, I meant Dutch, with a Dutch entity called Furgo, F-U-R-G-O. And in claiming they're looking for Malaysia 370, which is a complete farce because it was never missing, on the morning that it supposedly went missing, which was the 8th of March of this year, 2014, it was not missing. It went to Diego Garcia, and it sat there for quite a long time until they rotated it up to Amsterdam. And then whether the airframe, excuse me, whether the airframe of Malaysia 370 was the same airframe that went down as Malaysia 17, that's really not up to me or anyone else to speculate. But Malaysia itself and Malaysia Airlines have a little bit of a problem, and you know, I'm part of their problem. I went down there on April 17th. I arrived in Malaysia, and I explained face to face with so-called experts of Malaysia, and I'm not being dismissive. I'm just saying someone else called them experts. I don't make those types of judgments about other people. But I spoke to some people in a position of authority at Malaysian Airlines System. I also spoke to some government people, and I told them the truth about what happened to the aircraft. And if this seems rather boastful, let me just boast in God and His power. On the very day that Malaysia 370 went missing, our Able Danger Network put up a YouTube about 6 minutes long that explained exactly the technology and the history of the technology that went into allowing Malaysia 370 to be electronically taken. Now, that's quite a mouthful right there, but let me go on to say I firmly believe that on the morning of the 8th of March of 2014, that Malaysia 370 was electronically commandeered twice. The first commandeering occurred at BITOD intersection, where the aircraft was put into a left-hand turn as if to be driven back to Kuala Lumpur. Shortly thereafter, I believe that the United States Air Force, there were actually two military exercises in that region, and there was an AWACS aircraft, a U.S. Air Force AWACS, which certainly could have commandeered Malaysia 370 in a benign or a positive capture. You know, I think people that listen like it when someone tells them exactly what's going on to the best of their ability. And pardon my throat, I speak a lot more than I wish to.
No, that's okay. As long as, you know, people want to hear the truth, as long as they know that it is the truth, or they know there's something to back it up. Now, my question, first of all, before we get any further and deeper in the subject, is how do you know? You said the plane went to Diego Garcia. How do we know the plane went to Diego Garcia?
because I'm being communicated with by professionals in that region, and to identify the region, the region in question includes Vietnam, Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia, Australia, and New Zealand. And there are informed insiders in the agencies and the military and the corporations that are sick about this. And let me just this is totally fabricated. There's no element of truth into what I'm going to say next. But let's say there's some Pratt & Whitney or Rolls-Royce engine technician that monitors the transmissions that are downloaded every minute from the aircraft engines that are operating anywhere in the world. What if one of those people that was in a position of seeing the real-time data, what if they decided that they were sick about the participation of their corporation in this evil act of the first capture of Malaysia 370? I'm speaking with numerous people in that position. In other words, they're insiders that know what their corporations or agencies have done, and they are absolutely conflicted because they do not like evil, but they also don't like being unemployed. Is that clear enough?
It's clear enough, and of course, there are ways that information can leak out. There's ways that information can get out. I mean, if they can go to all the extent of hacking, there's a way this information can be seen and known to where we don't have to keep guessing about this and saying, well, I have good sources and they told me this. Well, that's fine. But, you know, we need to get some access to some information that proves this if we're going to make statements like that is the only thing that concerns me. But you don't have a concern about saying, trust me, you know, I'm a good guy and this information is good, to know that plane did in fact go to Diego Garcia, and then you said was routed to where after DG?
I got the part about Diego Garcia. What was
then after Diego Garcia, it was routed to where?
To Amsterdam.
Okay.
That brings us back to my initial trip to Malaysia, which was the 17th and the 20th of April. And first of all, I think you understand this. I don't necessarily want to be in the position I'm in, and I'm not trying to take advantage of my position. I'd rather go fishing and be retired. However, for whatever reason, I find myself in the position of being the only pilot in the world that was called to Malaysia to explain to them how their aircraft was taken. And the reason they contacted me is because on the very day their aircraft was taken, the 8th of March, our organization, Able Danger, explained to the world how it was taken and gave the historic background. And that historic background goes right back to my explaining to the United States government back in 2006, 2007, and 2008 the illegal modifications of Boeing airliners. And I stand behind that. It's absolutely 100% rock solid. If you want it, for whatever reason, I've got 66 pages of patents, P-A-T-E-N-T-S, patents of the Boeing uninterruptible autopilot. And the only reason it is illegal, the modifications with these autopilots, the autopilots were designed to be a good feature to protect passengers. However, in the post-9/11 world where it's impossible to hijack an airliner, now the same people that participated in the deployment of the good autopilot have been abusing it. And when I say the Boeing uninterruptible...
Okay, we got to go to a break. We've got a 4-minute break. We'll be back with Field McConnell, AbleDanger.net, AbleDanger.net, airline pilot on MH370 and 17 after this break. Break the bond to Big Pharma. Hi, it's Joyce Riley with the Power Hour to tell you about the powerful benefits of Strauss Heart Drops. Many people today are locked into the routine of taking multiple prescription drugs. Strauss Herb Company believes that everything the body needs is provided by nature. Strauss Heart Drops may clear congested arteries, restore damaged muscle, maintain healthy cholesterol levels, and flush toxins and metals from the body. They may even be helpful in treating varicose veins. And unlike prescription drugs that are packed with chemicals, Strauss Heart Drops are 100% natural and harness the healing power of herbs like garlic, cayenne, white willow bark, and mistletoe. For the full line of Strauss products, I urge you to call the Power Hour at 877-817-9829. That's 877-817-9829. Or visit thepowermall.com. And remember, beware of knockoffs. Get the original. Get Strauss Heart Drops.
Gold isn't for you? Ted Anderson, president of Midas Resources, one of the world's premier gold and precious metal investing firms. I get it. You wouldn't buy gold if you believed that the government is doing a great job, that the Fed will stop handing out trillions of dollars like bailout candy, that Social Security would be there for you. That's not what's happening. You might even pass on gold if the stimulus package wouldn't fuel inflation, or that the dollar wouldn't lose value, or that your retirement would be secure. If all looks rosy to you, then now is not the time to buy gold. For the realist, there have never been more sobering reasons to diversify with gold. Since 2001, the U.S. dollar index has tanked 30%, while gold has risen 300%. Right now, savvy investors are adding gold to their portfolios. You should too. Find out what they know. Call us and I'll send you 10 reasons why gold will do very well. Free. 800-686-2237. 800-686-2237. That's 800-686-2237.
A 30-day GMO-free emergency food supply for only $99 at 30dayfoodsupply.com. You can purchase Oregon Trail Foods' 1-month supply of high-quality, nutritious, and healthy emergency meals. For less than $100, these vegetarian meals are naturally high in fiber, carbs, and protein, and they're packed with oxygen absorbers in Mylar pouches. They're completely free of any artificial flavors and colorings, have a 20-year shelf life, and take up to 70% less space than number 10 cans. They even offer a gluten-free option. Oregon Trail Foods and 30dayfoodsupply.com keep prices low by buying directly from the producers in Oregon and then passing the savings to you. Purchase a 30-day, 90-serving emergency food supply for only $99 this month, and $10 ships your entire order. Visit the website at 30dayfoodsupply.com or call 541-229-0010. That's 30dayfoodsupply.com, where they make preparedness affordable. 30dayfoodsupply.com.
Hi, I'm Phil Grandy from Phil's Gang. If you've been nervous about investing in the current stock market, then you need to listen up. Phil's Gang is having a free webinar on Saturday, September 13th. That's going to be at noon Eastern Time. You're going to learn how to invest in this type of market. Not just the stock market, but you're going to be investing in yourself. Don't miss it. To sign up, go to LearnStocksForFree.com. That's LearnStocksForFree.com, or call 877-600-4264.
My name's Clyde, age 59, and I reside in Florence, South Carolina. The doctors diagnosed me as having clogged arteries. Felt like I was carrying heavy concrete blocks around my feet and legs. I started taking Heart and Body Extract as directed. It is less than 3 weeks, and I'm like a young man again. It's unbelievable that an herbal formula can work so fast and so powerfully.
Learn the secrets of an effective, natural, 100% organic nutritional supplement for a healthy heart and circulation at hbextract.com.
The Power Hour. Thank you for joining us, caring about your world, doing the next right and honorable thing. It is 24 minutes after the hour. We're going to get back to Phil McConnell. I just want to tell you that if you cannot listen live on GCN, if there's a problem with that, try TXLR.net. TXLR. I am so sorry. TXLR.net. That's Texas Liberty Radio, TXLR.net, and do help support them there. They're really doing an amazing job in keeping the truth on the air, so you can go to TXLR.net. Phil McConnell is our guest today, and we're talking about his experience back to 2006 when he found out probably the reason of what happened to the plane that disappeared from Malaysia, MH17. So now you said you were asked to go there to Malaysia, or did you ask to go there to Malaysia? Phil?
I'm glad you asked that question. I would like not to be in the position I'm in. I would like to be totally unrelated to all of this, but that's no longer possible. I was asked by Malaysia. In fact, your guest this morning was supposed to be Matthias Chang. Is that correct, Joyce?
Yes.
Okay, Matthias Chang was one of the people I visited with when I was in Malaysia. And when I was in Malaysia, I made it very clear to the Malaysian airline system, MAS, and the Malaysian government entities that I met with, that they had, and they took the wrong choice, unfortunately, sadly. But I said, you have a big choice now. You have the choice of helping expose the Boeing uninterruptible autopilot, or you have the choice of sitting back and doing nothing and having it happen to you again. I went on to say that there may well be 2 more events scheduled for the summer, and I identified the dates, the 17th of July and the 25th of August. And there's reasons why I picked both of those dates. However, on the 17th of July, the organization that I work with, Able Danger, was having a victory party at Vino in the Valley restaurant in Maiden Rock, Wisconsin. And the victory that we anticipated was not known to us at the time the gathering was scheduled. But if you think back to July 17th, which was the day of the victory party, that is also the day that Malaysia 17 was destroyed in the Ukraine.
Okay, now, where did you predict those dates? Where can we see an article dated prior to that time that you predicted those dates?
Yes. Would you like me to send you a link to the article?
That'd be great. Yeah, during the break or whenever, that'll be great. Yeah, I just want to see it.
I'll get it.
Okay, I just want to see where it says, that you predicted that in advance, because that's pretty serious, and I would be surprised if, the CIA and the FBI and everybody wasn't coming after you, Interpol and the rest of the world, saying, how did you know that?
Well, if they came to me, in fact, I would invite the CIA and the FBI and anyone else, hopefully Navy and Marine Corps intelligence first and foremost, but if they were to come visit me, I would encourage you to come with them, and I could explain to everybody, because when you talk in 37 different directions, the message gets, modified by those listening, but if you talk to everybody at once, everybody hears the same message. And the manner in which this information flows to me and through other Able Danger people, and it's very difficult for many of your listeners to believe this, but if they take a look at Daniel 2:21 and 22 and Jeremiah 33:3, those types of mechanisms are in place here. And I'll just make a bold and truthful statement.
All right.
The depravity of the evil in the world is not pleasing to God, and He is making sure that the information gets to people who can communicate it. And I think I just sent you the chapter that we put up yesterday morning, and the chapter that we put up yesterday morning was predicting another 9/11 type attack to cover the last 9/11. Take a look at Malaysia 17. Malaysia 17 had to occur to cover up Malaysia 370. And what do I mean by that? Malaysia 370 was parked at Diego Garcia with 239 human bodies on the aircraft. Were they alive or dead when the aircraft landed? I don't know. That's the honest truth, Joyce. I don't know. But my suspicion...
So do we know that those people made it to Diego Garcia alive? Do we know that?
No, we don't. And let me tell you why. There's a mechanism that I've exposed that the CIA, the FBI, the government of the Western civilized nations, if you will, I don't consider it civilized to be killing people with airplanes, but that's what they're doing. That's what they've been doing for a long time.
All right, we got to go to this break. We got a 3-minute break. We'll be back with Field McConnell and find out what else he has to say after this 3-minute break with the Power Hour. Stay tuned. This is Joyce Riley.
Great minds think alike. The network for the independent-minded. The Genesis Communications Network. GCN.
If you need to say happy birthday, happy anniversary, thank you, or simply I'm thinking of you, ProFlowers.com is the key. ProFlowers has stunning bouquets, like the best-selling 100 blooms for $19.99. Plus, ProFlowers will include a glass vase for free. Sending someone a wonderful surprise of beautiful flowers sent fresh from the field is easy. Choose the bouquet you like, pick the delivery date, and each order is 100% guaranteed. Plus, all bouquets from ProFlowers are guaranteed to last at least 7 full days. Beautiful, fragrant flowers, picked fresh and sent to your loved one for lasting enjoyment. To get this incredible savings and send someone 100 gorgeous blooms with a free vase for $19.99, go to proflowers.com. Click the blue microphone in the top right corner and enter code PLOW. That's proflowers.com. Click the mic and enter code PLOW.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-855-905-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. Say goodbye to the cable guy and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-855-905-MY-TV. Sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows. Pause and rewind live TV. Even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $19.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-855-905-MY-TV. 1-855-905-MY-TV. Say goodbye to the cable guy. Cut costs and get more. 1-855-905-MY-TV. 1-855-905-MY-TV.
Next to water and food, you need a safe, storable fuel supply for your preparedness needs. Spare Fuel is the answer. Spare Fuel can be used in any gas-powered vehicle or generator. Spare Fuel is perfect for any unforeseen out-of-gas emergencies. Unlike gasoline, Spare Fuel is safe to store with your other supplies, and it can be stored for many years. Go to GetSpareFuel.com for special pricing. That's GetSpareFuel.com.
Hi, this is Larry Smith. Sometimes bad things happen to good people. When the cleaners ruined some special clothing, all they could do was show us a sign that said they weren't responsible. But when they got the letter from one of our Legal Shield attorneys, he promptly gave us a check for $1,152. Worry less and live more with lsprotection.com. That's lsprotection.com, or call 855-340-SAVE. That's 855-340-7283.
Results will vary from case to case. Welcome back to Power Hour. Thanks for joining us, caring about your world. We appreciate your supporting the Power Mall. Strauss products are on special. Bladder support, bone and joint, regularity, respiratory, rose hips, thyroid support, Women's Wonder, and the Wonder Tea are all on special, along with the heart drops and that incredible hairspray. All the stuff, the lotions and everything are good for you. The hairspray, body wash, etc. So please try the Strauss products. Also, the kids' wellness products, those are homeopathic remedies by our own pediatrician who was on the program yesterday, Dr. Ridlin. And please take advantage of getting homeopathic, best for your children. Get them ahead of the winter flus and all that kind of stuff. Robin Randolph's books, and remember, vegan burgers, $8.99. They are so amazing. They are so amazing. It's dry, will stay for about 2 years in that container, and try them. They are absolutely delicious. They are vegan too. Welcome back to the Power Hour. Thank you for joining us. We're talking with Field McConnell today about all the things that have taken place and his recommendation or his premonitions or thoughts that there would be things happening that did come about. I got to tell you, I just want to tell you, Field, that I'm uncomfortable a little bit with all of the I did this and I did that, but I don't want to boast kinds of things that you're saying. And I think our listeners are picking up on that also in wondering how, where is some of the evidence behind this? That's what I'm concerned about, is how do we know Diego Garcia? How do we know that it went on to Amsterdam? All these kinds of things that you predicted other planes would come down or would be problems during the summer. Help me understand here.
Well, first of all, let me answer your previous question. You asked me if I could prove to you that I had predicted the 17th of July at some date prior to the 17th of July. And
I was asking where you had printed that. Yes,
Well, I just sent you a link, and I sent it to Catherine also. so maybe she can print it and hand it to you. But it was on March 30th of 2014 that I communicated, and I communicate in rather a confusing manner, and that's because I enjoy being alive. I don't look forward to being dead. And we've been, David Hawkins, myself, and the Able Danger people have been communicating the truthful information in a very complex manner for some 8 years now. And the reason we communicate the way we do, well, basically, let me show you, I can also communicate directly. Serco, S-E-R-C-O. Serco is the only corporation in the world that could have pulled off Malaysia 370 and Malaysia 17. That's rather direct. But I just sent you an email, and I sent it to Catherine, to Joyce, to a female attorney at ALPA, Suzanne Lynn Kalfas, to the director of the FAA, which is Michael Huerta, and to a Navy intelligence person whose name is Jay Watson. And so they're all seeing the same information I just sent to you at 9:33 this morning. And if anybody in the world wants it, I'll post it at Able Danger, because everything I do is public. But it draws Serco, the Boeing uninterruptible autopilot, and MH370, and ATI. And ATI is something that I had not known about until probably a week or two before I went down to Malaysia. And once again, those dates were the 17th to the 20th of April. I went to Malaysia to tell them what happened to their airplane, and I told them, and when you ask for proof, there is proof. There's proof that it landed at 0651 Kuala Lumpur time at Diego Garcia. But, Joyce,
okay, there's proof where? There's proof where?
Okay, you're asking me where Diego Garcia is or where the proof is?
No. Where is this evidence coming from that plane landed at Diego Garcia?
From the aircraft engines, which on that particular aircraft, the engines, there's two engines on a 777, and the left engine is number one, the right one's number two. They were both Rolls-Royce powered, they were Rolls-Royce engines. The model was Trent, T-R-E-N-T. And the people that keep planning these evil acts, yes, they are evil, and my sister's one of the people. So it's not.
Okay, wait. Okay, now you're saying that this, I don't know about the comment about the sister, if that's necessary or not, even if it was accurate or whatever. I don't know.
I think it's necessary, but go ahead.
We want to go there. But help me understand. Okay, the evidence came from an engine that someone was monitoring,
yes,
that showed that the plane went to Diego Garcia. Where do we find that evidence?
Well, you and I are never going to find that evidence, because Rolls-Royce and Boeing also has evidence that it landed. Let me tell you how Boeing has the evidence.
Okay, I don't want to keep chasing this issue, but I think it's important for our listeners to understand. Either we do or we do not have evidence. Now, if you've testified in expert witness cases like I have, it will not suffice to say, I know a guy who monitored the engines.
Yep.
So we don't have any evidence we can look at, like from Rolls-Royce, et cetera, that says the plane landed in Diego Garcia, correct? I just want to make that point.
No. I've published evidence that it landed in Diego Garcia. And the problem with proving these things is the same people that perpetrate them are typically, they have the evidence in their custody, and they don't want to release it because it implicates themselves. But in the case of how do we know it landed at Diego Garcia, there's a piece of equipment called an ACARS, A-C-A-R-S. It's on every airliner operating in the world. And the ACARS, at a bare minimum, will send 4 transmissions. If in a real world, on a good day, it would send hourly updates on where the aircraft is and the parameters of all the performance indices on the aircraft. However, in a compromised environment, it will only send 4 packets of information, and they're known as OOOI, and that stands for out, and I'll explain them after I tell you what the 4 are. Out, off, on, in. And the ACARS will automatically download buckets or packets of information at the first O, which is out. out simply means, in layman's terms, and you've been on airliners, I'm sure, when the aircraft has the parking brake turned off with the intent of moving the aircraft, that is out. It means out of the gate. Even if the aircraft hasn't moved, when the parking brake is released, an electronic signal is sent telling anyone who is monitoring it that that flight, and I'll just make up a number, let's say Malaysia 370, is out of the gate. The next automatic info dump is off. Off is the moment where the weight is lifted off the wheels because the aircraft has rotated and taken off, and once it's aloft, the mechanism, it's called a lot of things. In layman's terms, it's called the squat switch, but it means when there's weight on the wheels, the aircraft knows it's on the ground. When there's no weight on the wheels, the aircraft knows it's airborne, and it sends a signal.
Okay, where is all this going? Because I don't understand the...
Well, I know, that's the whole problem here, is I've published this for 8 months, and nobody, the people that need to get this information, they don't speak the language, and the people that do speak the language typically are trying to suppress the truth. Let me give you a very simple case in point. In September of 2008, I filed a lawsuit, civil case 1:08-1600, parentheses RMC. All this information was in there. But let me make this even more simple. The reason I refer to these modifications of aircraft as illegal is not because the mechanisms or the patents or the installation is illegal. What renders it illegal is the fact that the pilots of the aircraft around the world are not aware that these features are installed on the aircraft that they are trusted with, to operate the aircraft safely. I sent you quite a long email in terms of the flights that have been terminated abruptly, fatally, using these mechanisms. And you can look at that after.
Okay, by the way, you sent me a link, and it doesn't work. The link doesn't work to where you said that I could see the information, the data. I guess I want to know what we're building here is on fact, and it's okay if it's somebody told you that. I don't have any problem with it. I just want to know what it is that we either have concrete evidence for or don't have concrete evidence.
Yeah, we have concrete evidence that the aircraft, I was describing the OOOI. I got the out and off explained. The next one is when the weight on the wheels at the landing airport, a message is sent that it's on, as in on the ground. And then the last message that's automatically sent is in, which means that's the point which the parking brake is set and the engine masters are turned off. It sends a signal. On the morning of the 8th of March at 06:51 Kuala Lumpur time, the aircraft was in at Diego Garcia at 06:51 on the 8th of March. That information is known to anyone in the world in a position of authority. In other words, Boeing knows it, Rolls-Royce knows it, the FAA must know it, the Air Force knows it because they had an AWACS monitoring over there. And all of these things I'm talking about, which don't make sense to many people that are not in the airline business, all of these things I'm discussing are mechanisms that are installed to enhance the safety of the traveling public in
right.
aircraft.
And I think what you're telling us is all the reasons why this guy knew this, but it's not evidence that we might have. Let me open up the phone lines. I want to hear from our other listeners. Maybe I'm the one that's just not out to lunch on this issue.
So it's difficult.
But let me open up the phone lines, 855-995-6923. Maybe some of you pilots out there understand, but I'm looking for concrete evidence that we know the plane went to Diego Garcia and then went to Amsterdam, and I don't know that we have that evidence other than what you're saying and the link that you sent me that doesn't work. So abledanger.net is the website. Let's open up the phone lines, 855-995-6923, 855-995-6923. All right, so we don't know what happened to the plane. It's just never been found. No debris in the ocean, of course. Did you ever get any feedback on the Richard Quest situation and why he was down there so interested in flying one of the Malaysian planes with the co-pilot that allegedly went down with the plane? Do we know anything more about Richard Quest?
No, I don't, but I'm aware of who you're talking about, and I'm aware of his true history as it pertains to doing unnatural things in parks in New York City. But I just think he's a media target that's put out there to confuse us all, and I don't. Maybe if you want my opinion, this is an opinion, not a fact. Maybe he was there as a signal, that we're about ready to take an airplane and there's nothing you can do about it. Well, there is something we can do about it. But in this environment, in fact, here comes a little barrage. Dick Cheney, I believe, is one of the people in this country who really need to have a huge false flag real soon, because 9/11 truth is falling right behind the exposure of the truth with Malaysia 370 and Malaysia 17. Once those two incidents are fully understood, now suddenly 9/11 is fully understood, and that's a real downside for anybody in the administrations, and the administrations we're talking about were Bill Clinton and George Bush. Those two administrations were in power during the planning of 9/11 and the execution of 9/11, and it is no secret how 9/11 was done, period.
Okay. All right. Let me go to the callers here. And also, again, let me just say Richard Quest, CNN reporter who became a CNN expert on aviation right as soon as the MH17 was missing. MH370 was missing. He's kind of a weird guy. He called himself he said it was strange that a gay Jew was heading to Malaysia to do that story. Well, that's what happened. He did do the story with the guy who was the co-pilot who went down with the plane. Allegedly, we don't know what happened to the plane, but we think it's still around somewhere. And that was Richard Quest, who worked for CNN, and he was convicted of doing some nasty things in Central Park. All right, let me go to Frank in Ohio. Frank, you're on the air. Go ahead, please, with Field McConnell.
Hey, make it real quick. Thanks for taking my call. Praise the Lord Jesus Christ. And my advice to you, Joyce, I love you. I love your program. I love the Patriot Warriors. Just listen to this man. Just listen to him and let him get his story out to all your listeners. Thank you for taking my call. God bless.
All righty. I appreciate that, and I want to know, but I just want, when anybody is talking to me, and I don't think you will disagree with this, Frank, is when someone is talking to me, tell me if it is evidence or if it is hearsay that they got from someone else. That's all I want to know. Who's the caller, Aaron? Mayad in New York. Mayad in New York, you're on the air. Wait a minute. Before I go any further to Mayad, let me ask Field if he wants to make any comment about what Frank had to say.
No, I hear favorable comments like what Frank just expressed every day. I also hear comments that suggest that the commentor thinks that I'm completely nuts. This information, Joyce, is so evil that a normal reaction to hearing the truth is people would like to make it go away. They'd like to ignore it, and the easiest way for them to do that is to attack the messenger. I think you know that I've been speaking the same truth since December of 2006. And as you know, since your organization called me at home this morning in Wisconsin, you know for sure that I'm not in a psychiatric hospital or in a lockup.
Well, nobody's even implicating anything about that. I think that's going to a little bit, further extent than we need to. But I think the point is that I still want to know what is evidence. And if you are telling me that you got this from a friend, then just tell me that. That's all I'm saying.
No, this information came from an industry insider that's outside the United States of America, and it has been confirmed. I'm gonna be vague here. There's 5 major airliner manufacturers. Those airline manufacturers are Embraer, Airbus, Boeing, Sukhoi, S-U-K-H-O-I, and Bombardier. The industry insider from outside the U.S., his information has been confirmed by an aircraft manufacturer insider who 8 weeks ago, he told me he thought I was nuts. And when I delivered him 66 pages of Boeing uninterruptible autopilot patents going back to 1952, he's gone from thinking I am nuts to supporting me with inside information. There are insiders in every agency of our government that are sick about what's going on. And
okay, and I believe that. Mayad, good question, good comment. Yes, your relationship to Able Danger. What is that, Field?
Well, as the lady who's quite well-informed and articulate just mentioned, Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Schaefer was a member of a U.S. Army organization called Able Danger, but it was spelled A-B-L-E, and Able Danger was tasked with monitoring chatter out of the Mideast, where, and I really hate to say Muslims because I think they're getting a bad rap here, but Able Danger was monitoring militant Muslims to try to anticipate any rogue activity directed against the United States of America. Able Danger was put out of business during the Clinton administration about the same time that Sybil Edmonds was being silenced as a Urdu, Farsi, and Arabic listener for the FBI. In other words, the original Able Danger and this very intelligent woman, Sybil Edmonds, were both squelched to accommodate the false flag of 9/11. Able Danger that I'm associated with is ABEL, and for the lady in New York, the new Able Danger is a rogue, R-O-G-U-E, rogue version of the old Able Danger, because when elements in our own government suppress the intelligence functions of the U.S. Army, Navy intelligence, Marine intelligence, blah, 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 the intelligence people that did not wish to be suppressed had to go rogue and go on their own. And this is not, I wish I wasn't involved in this at all. But for me not to be involved, Joyce, this stuff would have to never have happened. And it has happened. Okay. And it's my belief, and I expressed this belief yesterday in writing, I believe we're in a threat window right now of another 9/11 style aviation event. But let me give you some cause for hope.
Well, okay, but quick, very quick. We've got about 20 seconds.
We can stop that attack with one exposure of information. Over to you, Joyce.
And what is that?
The Boeing Uninterruptible Autopilot. We
Yes.
can control every airliner in the world if we get some good guys to do their job.
BUAP, the Boeing Uninterruptible Autopilot. And thanks to Phil McConnell for bringing that information to our attention. Thank you, Phil, for joining us today. There's so many other things that I know we should have gotten to, and I do apologize. I just want to never, ever, ever give anybody anything that is not accurate. You all have a blessed day. We'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, bless you all. I think there's going to be a replay tomorrow, just so you will all know and be alert. Don't be worried. Have a blessed day. We'll see you tomorrow. It's all about the truth.